have indeed received a personal address from the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, with an invitation to join the new international structure, the Council of Peace, which is being created on his initiative. As for our participation in the Council of Peace, the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has been instructed to thoroughly examine the documents that have been submitted and to consult on this matter with our strategic partners. Only after completing these necessary steps will we be in a position to provide a definitive answer to the invitation that was conveyed to us. I believe we could transfer $1 billion to the World Peace Council from the Russian assets that were frozen by the previous US administration. As we know, Russia sold Alaska to the United States, and the United States then purchased that territory from us. The United States purchased Alaska from us for $7,200,000. The area of Greenland, in my estimation, is just a little bit over 2,166,000 square kilometers. If we compare this to the cost of the United States acquisition of Alaska, the price for Greenland would be, well, very good evening. We have a very important matter before us this afternoon. The report will be presented by Savelyev Vitaly Gennadievich on the question of the prospects for the implementation of the International North-South Transport Corridor. There.
Before we consider the main question, I'd like to ask you two questions.
Yes, here you are.
Could you please elaborate on your current stance regarding the initiative proposed by United States President Donald Trump for the establishment of a peace council? And then, moving on to my second point, what are our current evaluations and what are your predictions for the future? And finally, what is our official position concerning the evolving situation in Greenland?
Well, of course, as far as that goes. Council of Peace, we have indeed received a personal address from the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, with an invitation to join the new international structure, the Council of Peace, which is being created on his initiative. In connection with this matter, I would like to begin by expressing my gratitude to the President of the United States for putting forward this proposal. We have consistently supported and we continue to support all efforts that are directed toward the strengthening of international stability. We also wish to acknowledge the significant contribution made by the current administration of the United States in the search for a peaceful resolution to the Ukrainian crisis. As for our participation in the Council of Peace, the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has been instructed to thoroughly examine the documents that have been submitted and to consult on this matter with our strategic partners. Only after completing these necessary steps will we be in a position to provide a definitive answer to the invitation that was conveyed to us. The proposition that has been presented to us is primarily focused upon achieving a settlement in the Middle East and the identification of potential avenues for addressing the urgent issues facing the Palestinian population, as well as resolving the most critical challenges concerning the humanitarian crisis within the Gaza Strip. In this connection, I must stress the main point. The most important aspect is that the entire proceeding should favorably impact the long-term settlement of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a settlement that must be firmly based upon the relevant resolutions adopted by the United Nations Organization. Pause. And it is absolutely vital that the inherent needs and the legitimate aspirations of the Palestinian people are fully acknowledged and taken into consideration. This concerns the recommendation for the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip and its essential social infrastructure, its healthcare systems, water supply, and the establishment of an uninterrupted food provision. Therefore, even at this very moment, even before we have reached a final decision regarding the question of our participation in the composition and the actual work of the Security Council, taking into consideration the unique and special relationship that Russia maintains with the Palestinian people, I believe we could transfer $1 billion to the World Peace Council from the Russian assets that were frozen by the previous US administration. By the way, the remaining funds from our own assets that are currently frozen in the United States could also be allocated for the restoration of territories, individuals affected by the fighting and hostilities following the signing of a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine. Such a possibility is also being discussed by us with representatives of the US administration. I am planning to hold comprehensive discussions regarding all of these important matters with the President of Palestine, Mahmoud Abbas, with whom we are scheduled to conduct official negotiations tomorrow. and also with the American representatives Stephen Witkoff and Jared Kushner, who will likewise be arriving in Moscow tomorrow for the purpose of continuing the ongoing dialogue concerning the Ukrainian settlement process. That is what I wanted to say regarding this specific issue. Now let's move on to the topic of Greenland. Well, that particular situation does not concern us in the slightest regarding the current situation that is unfolding with Greenland. But we certainly possess the necessary experience for the resolution of these kinds of issues with the government of the United States. In the 19th century, as far as I recall, in the year 1867, as we know, Russia sold Alaska to the United States, and the United States then purchased that territory from us. And if my memory serves me correctly, the geographical area of Alaska is exactly 1 million, pause. It is somewhere in the vicinity of 1,717,000 square kilometers. Well, perhaps just a little bit more than that figure. The United States purchased Alaska from us for $7,200,000 US. We'll have to verify this number, of course, but I believe that's how it is. In today's prices, taking into account inflation over all these many decades, that figure would amount to $158 million. The area of Greenland, in my estimation, is just a little bit over 2,166,000 square kilometers and then some. So the difference is about 449,000 square kilometers. Well, if we compare this to the cost of the United States acquisition of Alaska, the price for Greenland would be, well, around $250 million. If we were to compare this amount with the prevailing gold prices of that era, the actual figure would undoubtedly be significantly larger, quite possibly reaching close to $1 billion. However, I'm confident that the United States possesses the capacity to manage and absorb even such a substantial financial commitment. And what's most crucial is that both Denmark and the United States already have their own extensive and relevant experience regarding this particular matter. I believe that in 1917, Denmark had already sold the Virgin Islands and the United States bought them. So that kind of precedent also exists. By the way, Denmark always treated Greenland as a colony, and quite harshly, if not outright cruelly. But that's a different matter entirely. It's unlikely that anyone is interested in this right now, but it certainly doesn't concern us at all. I think they will manage to sort things out among themselves. Let's now turn our attention to the primary issue and give the floor to the Deputy Prime Minister of the Russian government, Vitaly Gennadiyevich Savelyev, please.